Hello and welcome to my second part of my ultimate StarCraft 2 Terran tutorial. Last time we talked about the settings that you can already set up before you even start playing. This time we're not playing yet. I want to introduce like every single unit to you of Terran, of course. So last time I told you to have a look at this, by the way. I want to add something to that. So the most important thing that you're going to encounter is the minerals. This is the main resource that you have to mine. There are rich minerals where you mine like more minerals per return. So it's like instead of 5, you get 7 minerals per return. Reduced minerals are just minerals that have less, like the bigger patches have like 1,800. But that is not too important. I just want to briefly introduce that. Vespin Geyser is the other resource in the game. It's scarce. And rich guys here can also spawn sometimes in some like bases, but it's also very rare where you get more gas out of that. Then there are rocks that you can destroy, there are rock towers that you can destroy, and then they spawn another like rock which you can't walk through next to it. There's Naga towers that you can occupy with a unit and you get like vision around it. The fog of war is the part that you don't see. Like every unit gives you vision, every building gives you vision. So if you don't have a unit or like a building in a location, then that location is like surrounded by the fog of war, which means you can't see anything there. And yeah, I think that's about it. If you're on a high ground, that's also good to know. Like if you're on a high ground, or if you're in low ground, you can't see things on the high ground. If you don't have another unit on the high ground or like an air unit or something like that. But we're gonna get into that some other time. This video will be about the Terran units, and like, trust me, it's actually not that hard, I think, to understand like each race. So I'm going to be trying my best here to explain everything to you, like how I see the game basically. So you start off with the SCV. That is your worker. This is the worker that mines gas and minerals, and it builds all your stuff. You can make it out of the main building of Terran, which is the command center. I'll show you what that means in the unit tester, but yeah, this is your worker. He's not, like, he can also fight, but like he's very weak. Don't do that. So this is mainly a guy that builds up your economy, like, yeah, the worker basically. It builds up the economy and it also gets you money. Then for Terran, you have the mule, which you can spawn as well. The mule just helps you mine more minerals. The Marine is the main unit of Terran. It's very cheap. It's an infantry unit. It can basically shoot very quickly. It can shoot both the air units and the ground units. It has an ability which is called Stimpack, and Stimpack basically it's like a drug that like the Marine takes. It loses some HP, but then it can move much faster and shoot much faster. This is basically a guy with like, a gun that is shooting. Then there's the Reaper, which is primarily used for scouting in the game. It can jump up cliffs, get into the enemy base, and see what they are doing. It isn't really used as a fighting unit because it's more expensive and it takes longer to build. It's mainly being used at the start of the game to see what the other guy is doing. The Marauder is very similar to the Marine. It also has the ability Stimpack, and it's also an infantry unit that shoots a little bit slower, but more like heavily. And it only can attack ground units. But it's like very similar to the Marine. Every unit we're gonna test in the unit tester, so then you can see it again. I just want to briefly introduce them here. It also has the ability Concussive Shells, which basically means that it can slow units. So if a unit gets hit by the Marauder, if you have that ability, the unit slows down. By the way, don't pay attention to this. In the game it says like, this unit is like strong against that unit and weak against this unit. You do not want to care about that. That is false information sometimes. And it isn't very repetitive. Like, it's not really something you want to learn. Then there's the Ghost. This is a spellcaster that can also shoot. I mean, it's a sniper basically, so it shoots very quickly, but it can shoot rather fast. Another ability of it is to snipe, which like it locks onto a unit, and after a couple seconds it will like snipe that unit and deal a lot of damage. It has the ability Nuke, which is you can buy like a nuke in the game, and then it will basically use that to like destroy an entire area, but it takes a while. So like it says like, well, that's something I should maybe explain you in game. So yeah, basically that's the ability. Then there's the MP ability, which drains all the energy of a unit, and its shield. All Protoss units have shields, by the way. We don't get into the Protoss units, but EMP is always good against Protoss units because they have half shields, half HP usually, and it's very good against like energy units, like to drain their energy. Not every unit has energy, only the spellcasters have energy, and this is a spellcaster. Then there's Cloak, so it can cloak, so you need like a detector, like a unit with the ability detector in order to see it. Yeah, that's the Cloak ability. Then there's a Hellion, that is a car that can, attack only ground units. It shoots like a little bit of a laser, in a way, like a burning flame, you can also say, like it's like a straight flame basically. It's very good against like light units that die fast, like for example workers or zerglings. Especially good for like harassment. It can take out workers very fast, and it can generally take out like smaller units really well. It can also be morphed into a Hellbat, and that Hellbat is like much slower and like chunkier, but it's like stronger. So like has like less speed and less range, but like it's in a melee unit, but then it's like attacking much heavier basically. There's the Woodermine. That is a unit that you can plant. So like it can burrow into the ground, then you can only see it with detection units, like units that have the ability to detect invisible units. Then it has a cooldown. It can shoot every time it's off cooldown. It's gonna, detonate like a bomb. And then the cooldown, like then it has a cooldown of like some seconds, and then it can shoot again if it doesn't get destroyed. It has a medium range. It has an upgrade where it can burrow faster. There's the Siege Tank, also a very simple unit. It can siege up in siege mode. It has a huge range. It shoots very slowly, but it deals a lot of damage. The more tanks you have, the more damage it does. It's a splash unit. So if it's sieged up, it does do splash damage. So if like units get clumped up, it does a lot of damage against them, like smaller units that clump up, that kind of stuff. It shoots rather slow. And if it's sieged, it cannot move. If it's unsieged, it can still like shoot, but it's like shooting rather slowly, and it only does single target if it's unsieged. Also another thing that you're gonna see in game. The Cyclone is a more complicated unit. Basically, it's a run and gun unit. It can lock onto both air units and ground units, and then if it's locking on, it will shoot. That's the ability. Shoot the unit while moving in a certain range. You can also get an upgrade, so it deals more damage against bigger units. There's the Thor, another big unit of the Terran. This is a unit that is being used especially against air units. It's rather chunky and slow, so it has its weaknesses. But it's basically one of those units that is very big, and you can just like aim with it, and if the other guy doesn't have a good response against it, which especially in lower level is the case, like people make that unit a lot there. So if you don't have a good response against it, this unit can be very strong. In professional play, it's not being seen because of that. It's only being seen against like specific air units because its range is very big against the air. Its ground attack is like a cannon that like needs to load up for a second before it starts shooting, but then it will deal a lot of damage single target against like any unit basically. There's the Viking, which is a paper plane. The Viking can actually go on the ground, so it has an anti-air mode where it flies, and then it can also land on the ground, and then it's only shooting ground units. Basically, the anti-air mode is very similar to like a Marine. It's like an infantry unit then, but like it's not that great because it doesn't have the ability Stimpack, for example. But in this case, this is a long-range single-target air unit. It deals generally pretty well against most air units. And it can shoot from a distance, which is very nice. It also has huge range. The Medivac is used to heal up your infantry. This Medivac can pick up any units, basically. Also mech units, like I've just shown you, it can pick up, like in one Medivac, one Thor, for example, fits. It can also especially drop bio, which is used more commonly, and it can heal bio. So this Medivac you're always going to see in combination with bio. It also has an ability to boost, so for like a couple seconds it's gonna move very fast. Then there is the Liberator. The Liberator is another unit that can only attack air units in its normal mode. All Terran units, like some of the Terran units that you see basically have like different modes, so like sieging up mode basically, or that kind of stuff. This does splash damage in like a smaller range basically, if it's not sieged up. If it's sieged up, it's static, like the siege tank. It's then sieged up and it does single target ground damage, like in an area basically. The Raven is the second spellcaster unit of the Terran. It has energy and it has abilities like no other unit. It cannot shoot. It's a detector unit, so this is the Terran's detector unit. If you have this, it can detect any invisible unit in the game if it's in range, if it's inside range basically. And it can plant down an auto turret, which is like a little turret basically that can shoot anything. It shoots rather fast, but also dies rather fast. It has the interference matrix, which is used against all mechanical units or spellcasters to disable their abilities or their attacks for like, how much is it? 11 seconds. So for 11 seconds, that unit that gets disabled can only move, basically. If you, for example, disable a siege tank while it's being sieged, it can't unsiege, so it's like kind of stuck doing nothing because it cannot shoot either because of that ability. It also has the ability anti-armor missile. It's basically a missile that connects with a unit, and then the surrounding units, they then get hit by that missile, and it just reduces their armor. The Battlecruiser is a unit that can move while shooting as well. It can both shoot the air and the ground. It has a medium range, but it can basically run and gun. You don't have to micro. You can move commanded, and then it will start shooting stuff. The abilities are Yamato Ken and Tactical Jump. Yamato Ken is basically a single target shot that loads up, and that deals like a lot of damage on single target. It takes like 2 seconds to load up, and then it shoots that Yamato Ken, and then this has a cooldown, of course. It also has the ability Tactical Jump. It can jump anywhere in the map. You don't need vision. So you can send the BC anywhere you want. You just need to be aware that as soon as you use the ability, it has like a cooldown of like a minute. So it can't teleport back in that minute. So if you teleport it to the enemy base, it means it's stuck there for at least a minute. You go to, like, you can move it and stuff, so it can still get away if you like move it away, but that's rather risky, of course. There's the Banshee, which is another unit that is being mainly used for harassment. It has the ability to cloak. These are all abilities, by the way. Most of them you have to research. I'm going to show you what that means after I introduce all these units. And that's basically the last unit I'm going to be introducing, because now it can only shoot the ground units, but it's mainly used in the early game for killing workers and stuff like that, punishing the opponent for not having detection, because they can cloak, and then if it's invisible and the other guy doesn't have detection, you can deal a lot of economic damage, for example. And it can, like, units that are cloaked, they can escape easier as well, because, like I said, you need a detector unit to follow that in order to see it. That's basically all the units that Terrans have. We're gonna jump in-game in a moment to show you. The tech tree I've already shown you, but let's briefly go over the tech tree as well. So, the main building that you start off every game with is the command center. The command center can build the SCVs, your workers. It can morph into a planetary fortress, which is basically a defensive structure that can shoot ground units. It's rather strong. And an orbital command is another, like, you can choose between planetary and orbital command to like upgrade your command center. An orbital command can spawn the mules, so you can get more money. And it can also, has the ability scanning, which means you can see area, that's also, by the way, if you scan an area, it also detects that area for like a small amount of time. Then there's the refinery, which is the building that you have to build at a gas Vespene geyser in order to allow harvesting of that Vespene geyser. There's the supply depot. The supply depot is the building that you need to get in order to provide you with supply. The command center also provides you with supply. You start off the game with 12 workers, and the command center provides you like 15 supply. And an additional depot provides you with 8 supply. And you need supply in order to make units. So if you have like 15 out of 15 supply, that means your supply stuck. You can't make any more units past 15 supply. 15 supply, for example, is 15 workers. 1 worker is 1 supply. So you would have to make a depot in order to get more supply, so you can make more SCVs in that case. Then after you make your depot, you also have the ability to make a barracks. There's 3 main structures in terms of infrastructure that Terrans have that can make units. It's the barracks that can make any infantry units. Then after the barracks, you can make the factory, which can make all mechanical units on the ground. And then the starport unit that makes all the mechanical units in the air. It's that simple. 3 main structures: infantry, mech units on the ground, mech units in the air, or just air units in general. Then there's different tech trees that you can get out of them. Like if you want to make the ghost, the spellcaster unit, the sniper, you will have to make a ghost academy that gives you access to that. There's also an engineering bay, which you can get upgrades for. Every unit in the game has 3 stages of upgrades. So you can like +1, +2, +3 for every unit. And it basically increases the attack and the armor. There's attack and armor upgrades. Same for mech. For Terran infantry, you get these upgrades in the eBay. And for Terran mech units, you get that here in the armory. The Ghost Academy, like I said, to build nukes and to get the ghost. And the eBay, after the eBay, you can make sensor towers and missile turrets. Missile turrets are detectors, and they can shoot anything on the air. You also get the access to a bunker after the barracks. The bunker, you can put infantry in it, and then, it acts like a bunker. I mean, Terran's the human race, so sometimes you can explain things like that. And then the highest tech structure to build the big capital ship, the BC, that can run and gun, and Yamato can, and so on. You need the fusion core for that. The fusion core also has some upgrades, and every infrastructure also has access to the tech lab, where you can research more upgrades, or the reactor, in which you can make smaller units 2 at a time. And that's what I will be showing you now. So now if we go to custom and we go to arcade, and then here we just type in unit tester. Unit tester. You're gonna find the Legacy of the LOTV, Legacy of the Void, unit tester online. This is the most common one. You can jump in, create a lobby, and then just start off the game. This is a good representation to show you every unit, in-game basically. So I'm gonna show you. First, we're gonna get like a command center here on the other side. And now we can use here the unit tester on the top left. If we click on Terran, we can, for example, make some Marines. Start. Let's also get the upgrade stim pack. So here we are in game. The Marine, as you can see, if you look below in the here where my mouse is, in the bottom center, you can see it has the name Marine, the HP over here, how many kills it has, what rank it has. That doesn't matter, that's just for fun. It has no meaning in game, just ignore that. It's like a funny thing they implemented at the start, but it never had any. It's not a MOBA. They don't get stronger if they have more kills. It's just for fun. Then here you can see its attack and its armor. And you can see it's a 0 right now. So in order to upgrade those, we'll have to make an eBay. So here's, for example, an SCV. This is the SCV. The SCV here in the bottom command card. You can build a structure. So for example, here I can build an eBay. The eBay has 4 upgrades. Here you can upgrade your infantry. So if I get this upgrade, my Marines now have +1. In game, obviously it takes longer, and the unit tester there's no cooldown. You can see how much it costs and how much time it takes there. So this upgrade costs 175 minerals and gas, and it takes roughly 2 minutes to research. But yeah, now that I have research +1, all of my Marines now have more damage, and they have +1. Same with armor. If I get an armor upgrade, all of them now is on +1, and they have more armor. And that goes to 3 stages. So I can go all the way to 3 upgrades, and that is maxed out. So this is the maximum for the Marine, the red upgrades here. It's a light unit, it's a biological unit, light, like there's different types of damage. The Marine just does like consistent damage against anything. And where can you build it? From the barracks. This is a barracks. Here you can build all the infantry. And in order to get access to Stimpack, you need a tech lab on the barracks. That is an add-on you can build. And with that add-on, I've already researched it, you can get Stim. Or you can get combat shields, which is another upgrade where all the Marines that you build from now on have 10 more HP. You see the visual appearance also changes a little bit. So now those Marines have 10 more HP. And we can go and fight. How, like, exactly when you should get upgrades and stuff, that's something I'm gonna show you in a game. But before starting gaming, like, this is a video just to understand the units itself, like, really. This is not a video to, like, show off build order, so that's what we're gonna do some other time. But yeah, this is a Marine. As you can see, it can shoot like this. And then if I use Stimpack, it now shoots faster and can run faster, but it loses HP. And yeah, it's basically an infantry unit. It can shoot raw, like you can stutter step a little bit with it, and it does pretty good damage. It's also very cheap and only costs 50 minerals. And it's one of the units that if you have a barracks and you get the add-on reactor, you can then, out of one barracks, make 2 Marines at the same time. As you can see, I can queue up 2 Marines and make them at the same time. Right. That is the Marine. That was, by the way, also the SCV. And now we go to the Marauder. The Marauder is basically the same. In order to build the Marauder, you need a barracks. And you can't make the Marauder with a reactor because it requires a tech lab. So you can only make it one at a time out of one barracks. You need a tech lab for it. It shoots a little bit slower, but it does more damage against armored stuff and buildings. And it also has the ability Stimpack to run faster. As you can see, it takes out armored units or buildings really fast. And it has slightly more range than the Marine. You can build, like, this is the main combination in the game, Marines and Marauder. You're gonna see it so many times. You can mix those in and you can achieve a lot with them. Next up will be, I'm just gonna make them out of here to show you, is the Reaper. The Reaper can also shoot, but it can mainly jump. I can show you here if I switch to terrain, for example. Here, there's a cliff, and the Reaper can jump up that cliff, as you can see. It can also jump down. So it's mainly used for scouting because it's not very strong. Like if we, for example, do one Marauder, let's do like a couple Reapers against like a couple Marauders. We're gonna get no upgrades, just 0 upgrades. Just a couple Reapers against one Marauder. Or let's do 2 Marauders. And then you can see like the Reaper is not really a unit that can fight that well against armored units. So the Marauders are armored, and as you can see, they take out the Reapers pretty consistently. And Reapers in general don't scale well because they are very expensive. You can make them out of a reactor, but they build slowly and they are very expensive because they cost some gas as well. So yeah, this unit is mainly being used for scouting, nothing else really. Next up will be the Ghost, that you can also get out of the barracks. So here we go for another barracks. We need a tech lab, and then we need a Ghost Academy. Ghost Academy is an advanced structure. So like because you have many buildings, you have 2 different hotkeys. First for the buildings that you get first in the game access, and then for the advanced, for the more tech-heavy building, it's the X hotkey for me if you play with grid. You need this building for it, and now you can make ghosts. So now we can make some. The Ghost has the ability to snipe. So as you can see here, you can use it. It locks on, and then pop. It has the ability to nuke. This is what a nuke looks like. So now the nuke is being planted. The nuke you can build here. And as you can see, the Ghost can't move while it's nuking. So if the other guy just kills it, it doesn't land. The nuke, like the Ghost needs to survive. And obviously if I'm nuking something, the other guy can either just kill the Ghost to cancel the nuke, or he can just run away like with his units that are there. Like as you can see, it takes like a long time. It takes 14 seconds to land. So the enemy has 14 seconds to prepare or kill the Ghost. In the Ghost Academy, you can research the cloak ability. By the way, what I forgot, the other last upgrade in Tech Lab is the concussive shells on the barracks to slow down units with the Marauder. I forgot about that. So as you can see, if I shoot a unit with the Marauder, it now like moves slower. If I stop shooting, you're gonna see the difference. So yeah, I stopped shooting and now it moves faster again. And now here you can research cloak, and you can research nuke. You can get nukes. And then if you use the cloak, you can see it uses some energy. And now while it's being cloaked, it loses energy over time. As you can see in the bottom, it loses energy. So you can't cloak forever. You can only cloak until you run out of energy, basically. So cloaking and using like other abilities can be too much. Like you can only have 200 energy. So you gotta be more conservative with that usage. The last ability is the EMP, which, like I said, against Protoss units, it's mainly being used. And it has the ability EMP. So this is a Protoss unit, the Stalker. I'm gonna show you what the Stalker does, maybe another video. But yeah, here this is EMP. As you can see, Stalker have shields and HP. The blue is the shield and the green is the HP. And if I use the ability EMP, it just drains all the shields. So now they have no shields. Yeah, and basically half HP. You can also use it, the purple bar is the energy. You can also use it to drain energy. So as you can see, now these ghosts have no energy because they got hit by an EMP. EMP, as you can see, this is the radius, this the area, and the range. You can see with the snipe. So there's the snipe range. So like from here I can shoot that ghost or lock on basically. The ghost, the nuke range you can also see. So like this is if I'm standing here, this is where I can nuke without moving. Obviously if I want to nuke here, the ghost is gonna start moving, and then as soon as it's in range, it's gonna start it. Yeah. The ghost can also just fight normally. So if you look at this, like this is how a ghost fights. It shoots slowly and it does more damage against light units. The Stalker is armored units, so it doesn't deal that much damage. Okay. Next up will be the Hellion. So this is the Hellion. In order to get access, alt tab, sorry. In order to get access to the Hellion, we need a factory. There's the factory that you can build after the barracks. It doesn't require Tech Lab. You can reactor out Hellions and Halberds and Water Mines. The Hellion can morph into a Halberd. As you can see, it can morph. On the Tech Lab, you can research Blue Flame. So right now, the Hellion does this much damage. As you can see, compared to the Bio, it does minimal damage. Like the damage of the Hellion is ridiculously bad in comparison. It does not deal a lot, sorry, alt tab. It doesn't deal a lot of damage to buildings. It doesn't deal a lot of damage to armored units. It does a lot of damage to like light units. And light units, for example, are Marines or SCVs. So we like build a bunch of Marines or SCVs. If you take a look at that fight, against those units it can fight rather well. As you can see, it does a lot of damage against them. It shoots rather slowly, but yeah, like look at this. If you line them up, the Hellion can do massive damage against those units. But then if you have a bunch of Marauders, for example, the Hellion suddenly does pathetic damage. Like actually pathetic, look at this. Oh, actually it does still do pretty well against the Marauder, because the Marauder is a little bit lighter. But like we can go towards the Thor already. So like for example, if you have a bunch of Thors here, then you can see how pathetic the damage is going to get. So here we have a bunch of Thors, and yeah, as you can see, it takes a while to kill them. Right. Especially if the bio is getting healed up by Medivacs, it's even worse. You can research and upgrade on the factory, on the Tech Lab. So you get a factory and you get a Tech Lab, and then you can research this, which is Blue Flame.
Research.
Then it has a Blue Flame, and it does more damage, but only against light. It doesn't do more damage against armored, even more damage against light. So for example, this is what the fight looks like without Blue Flame. Yeah, this is without Blue Flame. No Blue Flame. Oh wait, this is with Blue Flame. I had just researched it. And this is without the upgrade Blue Flame. This is without the upgrade, right? Yeah. It still does a lot of damage, but like with Blue Flame you do more damage. The Hellbat, we can also let the Hellbat fight. It's a little bit chunkier and slower, but it does even more damage if it gets close enough. It gets close enough, it like it's more bulky and it does way more damage if it gets close enough. Next up will be the Water Mine. So you can make water mines and plant them on the map. They are invisible, so the other guy needs to have like a scan or a Raven in order to see those. And if he doesn't see that, this is gonna happen. Boom, they detonated. So let me like walk like this into the mines. I can't see them, and boom, the Marines die. And then there's a cooldown, the gray cooldown here. And then as soon as that's reset, they can shoot again. The water mine, there's an upgrade you can research. The upgrade for the water mine you can also get from the tech lab on the factory. And it's called Drilling Claws. It basically makes the water mine burrow faster. So this is how long it takes to unburrow and burrow. And this is how fast it goes with the upgrade.
Research complete.
A little bit faster, as you can see. Next up will be the siege tank. This is what the tank does in unsiege mode, single attack, like this. It still does okay damage. But as you can see against smaller and slower units, if it's sieged, you can see the radius. It does way more damage in that mode. Especially the more tanks you have, the more powerful they get. So if I have like 5 tanks, the Marines can't even get close to the tanks. They're gonna die before that, as you can see. The tanks do not have any upgrades. The only upgrades they have is from the tech building that you can get after the factory. The tech building is... hold on. We're gonna make it like this. To always have them in our vision. So the tech building that you need. So for now, the buildings that we have discovered are supply depot, barracks, factory, the Ghost Academy, the eBay, the tech lab that you can get on the infantry, not infantry, the production facilities. So you can get a tech lab here, a tech lab here.
Complete.
Or you can get a reactor to make 2 units at a time, but not all units. Tanks you can't make 2 at a time. Marines, for example, you can see what you can make.
What's going on?
Basically, some units require a tech lab, like the tank or the Thor or the Cyclone. So those units you can never make out of a reactor. And the reactor you can't research anything. That's its only purpose. And then the other building you can get is this one. This is the armory. And the armory is for the upgrades, also until +3. So as you can see, the tanks have also upgrades 0-0 right now. Here we can get ground upgrades, ground attack. This is also attack for the air units. I mean, not attack, armor. And then attack you have to get separately. For armor, you have one upgrade for both. So these upgrades are for all factory and starport units. And these upgrades over here are all for infantry units, basically. There's also 2 building unit upgrades for upgrading your buildings, giving them, for example, more armor. Yeah. The siege tank, I have explained, it has no ability. You can research some upgrades here, so it does more damage, or it can survive longer, but that's it. It has no upgrade. The only special ability is siege tank, but you don't need an upgrade for that. That's it for the tank. Next up will be the Cyclone, which you can also get from a tech lab factory. The Cyclone can lock on to a unit like Snipe, and then it can run and shoot, as you can see, like this. Then it has a cooldown of 4 seconds before it can do that again. So here, we're locking onto units, and then we can run and shoot. It also has an auto attack. It can fight normally, like this. But yeah, the lock on, this is how you wanna fight, basically. You wanna lock on and run away if you use this unit. I can also lock on to buildings and then shoot them from like a distance like this. As you can see, the distance of the Cyclone goes like further than a siege tank actually. You need vision, by the way. Like I need to lock onto a building and need vision. If I can't see the building, if it's in fog of war, then I can't shoot it. It has an upgrade on the tech lab, which is this one, Mag Field Accelerator. That upgrade is like Blue Flame. It does just more damage, the lock-on. The lock-on against every unit in this case does more damage.
Research.
If I get this upgrade, it now should like 2-shot the Marines. Yeah, now 2 shots instead of 3 shots. Just does more damage with lock-on like against every unit. It's a fun unit to use, as you can see. It also can attack air units. Next up will be the Starport tech. The Starport tech offers access to the Viking. These are the 3 production facilities. These are the main buildings for upgrading, like attack and armor. This is the building for the Ghost itself. And yeah, here we can make the Viking. The Viking is an air unit that can shoot from a distance. So let's make some Vikings over here as well, and then you can see it. So here we fight. And now, yeah. You can see it can shoot like from this distance, and it shoots a little bit slower. Does some good like single target damage. Yeah. It can't attack ground. For example, the tank can't hit the Viking. The Cyclone can. As you can see, the Cyclone can also lock on here. Yeah. Cyclone can attack both. The Viking, though, it can land. So here I can land the Viking, and then it waddles like a penguin, and it can shoot as well. As you can see, it's a little bit slower, and it shoots like similarly to the Marine with like machine gun. Yeah. It's not very commonly being used. The upgrade you can get for the Viking is actually one you get on the tech lab for the factory. It's Smart Service. It basically does reduce the time it takes to morph them. So now that I have the upgrade, it's like significantly faster to morph them to air mode or ground mode. This also increases the speed for the Hellions. By the way, I forgot one unit of the Terran. Yeah, this and the Thor. That's a unit that I haven't touched yet. I need to also show you the Thor that you get out of the factory. In order to build the Thor, similar to the Ghost Academy, you need a tech lab on the factory, and you need an armory. This building, you need this to build a Thor. The Thor can also change the mode. This basically is anti-air mode. So this mode, they do splash damage against air units, and it shoots rather slow. So if we get some Vikings, I can show you. So there's the anti-air mode splash. So if they like clump up, like as you can see, multiple targets at the same time. And this is the single target. The single target is usually stronger. Like usually I would recommend the single target. This is a single target that has more range. Yeah. It's very uncommon that you can use the other mode efficiently. This mode is usually better. It can also attack ground units. So this is how the Thor is basically a unit that can just A-move and that's it. It doesn't have, that's everything it can. Like either anti-air or just this A-move. No, it basically just shoots, as you can see. It has no special abilities or anything. It has no upgrades either. It's like the tank, it has 2 different modes. But it only changes the damage against air. So in the mode that they come out, they do splash damage against air units and less damage, more damage against light. And in the other mode, they just do more consistent damage, single target against like anything. So this is usually the better mode. The explosive mode is the it's the splash damage mode, and the high impact payload mode is the most common one. Next up is the Medivac. The Medivac can pick up units and heal by units. So if I pick up the Cyclones, you can see I can pick up 2 Cyclones, for example, or 2 siege tanks, or 4 Hellions in one Medivac. So I can unload them now as well, like this. Just unload and press on the ground. They can also heal by units, so if I get like some infantry and hurt them, if I start hurting them, as you can see, the Medivacs are gonna start healing those. It takes energy to heal units, but usually the Medivacs have enough energy, so don't worry about that. Then there's the Liberator. The Liberator can't shoot down in its normal mode. This is the normal air mode. And it does splash damage as well, similar to the Thor. So here you can see, I'm fighting some Vikings. It does single target splash, so like you need to dive in and attack, and then it does splash damage. This is not a mode that's commonly being used. The Liberator is mainly used for its anti-ground mode, where it sieges up, like this. You can use this, the defender mode, and then it sieges up. And in this little zone, whatever unit steps on that zone is gonna get like hit single target by the Liberator. So here you can see, like I'm making some Marines, and they like in the liberation zone, and then they get like hit by those. But they only get hit in the zone. So if I like come in from the side and attack them from here, they can't shoot back because I'm not in the zone. So yeah, don't step on the Liberator zone if possible. It can go very badly for you, as you can see. It's like running into a siege tank. It's not very nice. It also looks kind of satisfying. The Liberator and also the Medivac have 2 upgrades, and that is the last building you need to know. And that is the fusion core that you can get after a starport. The fusion core has 3 upgrades. One of them is the Liberator advanced ballistics. It offers more range in that mode, so now I can siege up from a bigger distance. So before, like now I can just siege from a bigger distance here. So like it increases the range by 3 here. So like you can siege up a little further away to protect the Liberator and still get the same range. Then you have this, which basically makes the Medivac faster. So now it moves faster, basically.
Let's go.
Now the Medivac base movement speed is just faster. It's all a very common upgrade. You can make Liberators, Vikings, and Liberators, Vikings, and Medivacs out of a reactor. Any other unit requires attack lab. One of those units is the second spellcaster, the Raven. Let me show you its abilities. Before I do that though, we don't have enough energy yet. Well, I go into the Banshee. So the Banshee also requires attack lab. In the attack lab you can research Cloak for the Banshee and Banshee speed upgrade basically. So if you've researched Cloak, you can use its energy to cloak. Same as the Ghost. And if you research this, it just makes the Banshee move faster. The Banshee does single target on the ground, but because it requires attack lab to build, and it takes long to build, it also costs a lot of money. It's mainly used in the early game for harassment, for taking out workers and harassing the mineral line. You don't really see it anywhere else. Its damage is okay though, but yeah, it's mainly you build like 2 of them in the early game to harass. You don't really see those units later in the game. So yeah, this is how they fight. They shoot like this. You can like micro very nicely. How to micro I'm gonna show you in some other time. And then if I research the upgrade, they're significantly faster now. And then if I research Cloak, I can get them in the Cloak mode. And then they are invisible. See, I'm visible, and I'm invisible. The enemy, in order for me to be visible, they need a detector. For example, a Raven is a detector. So as soon as the enemy has a Raven in range, it can now shoot and see the Banshee. Next up is the Battlecruiser, the highest tech unit of Terran. This unit can research Yamato cannon, as I've explained. And the Yamato cannon is a single target cannon. It takes some time to charge up, so look at this. I'm like shooting 2 Yamato each, and boom, deals massive damage. Now, if we fight with the BC, it can shoot while moving. So for example, if I have some Marines, and they want to attack the BCs, so yeah, make some, and they want to attack the BC. The BC can move while shooting, or it can like run away, that sort of thing. So like it's very nice to micro, because you can just run and gun. This is the tactical jump ability, so I don't need vision, I can jump anywhere. Axe, and boom. Now they teleport in here. But it takes a minute to have, like I can't teleport for 1 minute now. And Yamato I can also only do like every 45 seconds. Something like that. Yeah, the Battlecruiser, like every unit, it benefits from the air upgrade. So if I get weapon, like I said, here you can also research until +3 for more attack or more armor.
Upgrade complete.
These are all the upgrades, by the way, that I've shown you. And the last thing we're gonna have a look at is the Raven. So the Raven can disable units. So for example, here are the BCs. So if I now use the disable ability, they can't do anything besides moving for 11 seconds. The BCs can't use Yamato and they can't teleport away if they are Matrix. One Matrix costs 75 energy. Yeah. It can only hit mechanical units or spellcasters. And it disables them, making them useless. They can only move now. Another ability is auto-turrets. They can temporarily place some auto-turrets that can shoot. They attack. They actually do very nice damage, as you can see. But then after a certain cooldown, they just disappear and never appear again. One auto-turret costs you 50 energy. And then there's the anti-armor missile. If you use the anti-armor missile, it basically reduces the armor of a unit. You can target a single unit, and that unit will... It does like splash, see? And now like every unit is hit by this. Every unit that was around that marine. And now those units are like orange. And as you can see, the cooldown, like that's how long they have reduced armor. -2 armor. So they take more damage. That's what the armor does. -2 damage, -2 armor means they just take way more damage. So, for example, this is marines with that are being affected by it. And these are marines that are not being affected by it. Yeah. It doesn't make a huge difference. It's not a very good ability. One thing I forgot, the main building that you start off the game is the command center. So this is the building you start off. This is where you build all your workers. And this is where you morph into an orbital after the barracks. If you morph into an orbital, you get access to the mule. You can also, if you have an eBay, morph to the planter, which is usually used after like 3 or 4 bases. What it does, it's like a defensive structure. So it's like a self-defense. And you can also make, with the SCV, missile turrets, which just shoots air units. So yeah, I'm gonna target my own units with those. This is how they deal damage, as you can see. They deal very nice damage against air units and have a pretty good range. And they are very cheap as well. So if you want to defend against air units, these are very good. There's the orbital. It can scan an area, or it can drop mules. So for example, if I don't have vision, on this map I have vision everywhere because it's a test map. Here, for example, there's Fog of War. I can scan and reveal that area for just a little bit. It also has the ability to drop down an extra supply. So you can like upgrade your supply depot with that, 50 energy, and get free supply basically. The most common one is the unit tester energy, can I give it full energy? No, we have to wait a little bit. This is the most common one, the mule. It can spawn a mule that mines minerals for you. It mines more minerals than the workers, and it's very useful for your economy. Okay, here you go. This is what a mule looks like. Comes from the air, it spawns, and then there we go. It only lives temporarily. And yeah, I think that is every Terran unit basically. I hope I was able to help you. Let me show you what a base looks like. So you start off the game with a base, which looks like this. This is the last thing I'm going to show you. So this is what you start off with basically. You're going to start with like a command center like this. Let's morph that into an orbital. Yeah. One like this. Yeah, it has, as you can see, it has 8 minerals and 2 gases. Let's just wait the 22 seconds. While I'm waiting, leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me what you want to know about the game. Next up, we'll go into a game itself and yeah, test this information that we just got. I explained to you everything about the race right now. Like now you know everything about the race. So this is like the minerals and like the SCVs, you can just rally them here and then they mine minerals like this. And then you can also build gas next to these gases and then they mine gas. And then here's always the number you need to hit. So like a fully saturated base is 16 on the minerals and 3 on gas each. Every base has 8 minerals and 2 gases. Then here we can drop down a mule for extra money. Just drop down mules for extra money, basically. If we make a depot, we can use the supply cooldown. See? That gives us extra supply. It's basically 2 depot in 1. 2 depots in 1. Scan for vision and detection. So like if there's a cloaked unit here and I like need vision, I can use a scan to see the cloaked unit. Or to just scout like this. And yeah, that's everything. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you again for my next tutorial video. Bye bye!